Thank you. As you can see here in this slide, okay, last week we saw the entrepreneurship and innovation that Sally was just briefing you about. Today we will be taking a look at the external elements of your business model. Then next week we will have a look at the internal elements of your business model, and finally starting up. But today we are going to take a look further at the target segment, what a value proposition is and how it works, what are the channels to reach your client, and what are you want your clients to reach you through. So the old way to start up a business was actually quite traditional. It used to happen in a way whereby you could have an idea that you wanted to develop into a business. Following that idea, you write a business plan, and then you refine your business plan, and then you get the numbers, etc. After that, you pitch it to investors. Once you pitch it to investors, you get the seeds or the money to actually start implementing your idea. Then you build your team, so you go ahead and search for people around you who could actually help you establish and expand on this idea. Then you start making a product, and finally try to sell as much as you can so you can actually get a business profitable. So the result of that business model or of that model is a bit of a roll of a dice. So the thing is that if we go back to that slide, it is actually time consuming. Between the time you have an idea until you start actually selling, it is quite a long time. So sometimes by the time you start selling your product, your business plan would have changed, and what you would do is that by the time you actually make a product, the terms or the study that you would have made for that product is no longer available. The market would have changed, the technology that is available for you would have changed, etc. How do we build businesses today as compared to the old model that I've just explained? Today, we no longer wait for the money, for the investors, for the team, and then to build the product for us to actually test out the product and start selling it. What we do today is we create a business model, something that I've explained a bit before and that I'm going to explain a bit further today and next time. And that business model, as it is not something that is extremely detailed. It is something that is rough, that will give you an idea of where you're going, what your vision is going to be, what are the key elements that you need to focus on. So once you have this business model, you test it out by creating a rapid prototype. So first you see if the idea appeals to people around you, but you do something that's quite quick. It's not a market research that needs months, for instance, to get results from, and that you can build your decision on. So once you have a prototype that you try to sell, and once you sell that prototype and you get customer feedback, you redesign and then you reintroduce. So now the process and the adaptation process are much faster than they used to be. So here you have time, and it's actually based on the reaction that you get from the market that you adapt your product, and not the other way around. So here, because it's fast, it doesn't matter if technology changes or not, because by the time you are starting to actually implement your idea and turning it into a product, the technology is somehow as is. Now, any new introduction can be easily adapted, and so on and so forth. So here, it is something faster, it is something that doesn't need a big capital, and it is something that doesn't need a huge team for you to be able to establish and introduce on the market. Now, what is a business model? A business model is a tool for describing and prototyping your business. It's very important. It has 9 elements, 9 building blocks. Each one of them is dealt with separately, but all of them constitute the core of your business. It is the main elements, it is going to be the main elements that define your business and that take you to whatever vision you have created for that business. So, as I was telling you, any company can be described in 9 building blocks. So how can you describe your business model? Now we are going to take a look at what are the 9 building blocks, and we are going to take a further detailed view of each one of these building blocks. Now here is the business model canvas with its 9 blocks in front of you. Okay, so what you will see is, first you have your key partners. Okay, as I was saying, we are going to focus on each one of them separately. Then your key activities and your key resources, your value proposition or your different value propositions in case you are targeting different market segments, the customer relationships, the channels that you have, the customer segments that you want to target, and finally the cost structure that you have and the revenue streams that you have. So if you take a look at this, this is actually a brief model of a business plan, okay? It is something that has exactly what you need for you to have a clear view of your business, a clear view of the elements constituting your business, a clear view of what your cost structure is and how you're gonna make money to cover that costs and to sustain your business. So today we are going to focus, as I said, on the external elements. The external elements are your customer segments first and foremost, then your value proposition, your channels, the customer relationships, and the revenue streams. So this is exactly what it looks like from that part of the external elements. So you have your customer segments, and then you have the channels, customers, you have the customer relationships whereby your customer in return reaches you. You have the value proposition, so what it is that you are offering to that client of yours, okay? And finally, the revenue streams, how are you trading that service or that product for your clients? So first, let's take a look at the customer segments. What are customer segments and how can you define your segment? Now, you need to know one thing. In the reality of things, whenever you are creating a business, whenever you have an idea, this idea cannot possibly appeal to everybody in the world, okay? Even when you go for mass products, even let's bread, okay? Although bread is a mass product, but you have in France a bread that is different from the one that is Lebanon, that is totally different. So even whenever you are using a mass product, sometimes the way it comes packaged or the way it is built can differ from a country to another. So taking apart the mass products and focusing on another type of product, which is a specific product, you have to define who your target audience is. So who are you targeting with that solution that you have created? Are you targeting women? Are you targeting men? If we go more in details, are you targeting young women or older women? Are you targeting married young women or married older women? Are you targeting women with kids, who work, who do not work, who are at home, and so on and so forth? So the more you narrow down the target audience that you are reaching, the clearer the objective of what that solution can do for these people. So I'll give you an example of that. For instance, you are developing an application, a mobile application, that lets mothers monitor their kids at the nursery. Okay, so here, whenever I've just stated what my business does or what my solution does, okay, automatically I have a target audience. My target audience is not kids, it is not teenagers, it is not single women, it is married women, but not just married women, maybe married women who have kids, married women who not only have kids, who have kids at nursery, so they're not even at school, okay? So they fall into a certain age bracket. And finally, married women who maybe work and need to keep an eye while they are working on their children at the nursery. So you see, here I am able to define who my audience is. And the more I define my audience, the clearer my objective it is for that audience and for that solution I am offering to that audience. Now, once you define that, you need to know, you need to look at the solution you are offering them. So here, for instance, when I say that I want to create a mobile application whereby married women or whereby mothers can actually monitor their children in nurseries, okay, how am I going to do that? And is it something, now the most important part is my solution something these women are really willing to pay for? So how important is my product or my service to them? How important? And the fact where they need to be willing to pay for that, or else if they're not willing to pay for it, it could be a great idea, but if no one is willing to pay for it, it's worth nothing, because at the end of the day, I cannot make a business out of it. So what you need to do again is you need to look at your customer segments, you need to define them clearly, and you need to redesign or design your solution in a way to be able to answer a need, and for that customer segment to be able to actually to want to pay for that solution that you're offering them. Now, you can have many customer segments. It could be not just one. All right, and then you can have different products or a different variation of the product per customer segment. So if you think that in your case, your product can answer multiple needs, or it can differ, a simple iteration or a simple tweak can make it appeal to different segments, don't worry about it, it's okay, as long as you have a core segment and as long as you have a fun. So the examples of customer segments are, you have the mass market. The mass market is the market that is actually the mass. It is the majority of the people that you can address with solutions like bread, like salt, like sugar, like coffee, etc., who actually do not need to be targeting a specific group of people. Now, note that, for instance, even in the mass market, for instance, bread is a consumer product that is mass, okay? But then, for instance, you might have a specific bread that is for people with diabetes, for instance. So you see here, you get out of the mass market and you go into the next level of this, which is the niche market. So the niche market is when you specify more and more the target that you want to actually talk to or you want to reach, okay, with a specific profiling when it comes to demographics, to gender, and so on and so forth, okay? And then you can say, okay, my product is targeting women of that age who do this, who have this lifestyle, who work, who do not work, etc. The segmented customer segment is when you actually address different target audiences. So different target audiences, as long as they are segmented, which means that, for instance, if my product appeals to a wide range of women, like for instance, women from the age of 25 till 50, okay, but maybe I should address women 25 to 35 in a way, or with a message that is different than the one addressing people aged 35 to 50. Okay, so this is what we call segmented customer okay, and so on and so forth. So these are the different examples or segments that you have. Now you need to know that this is just an example of things, but when it comes to your own solution and what you are offering, the more you profile your customer, the better it is for you to know what that specific customer needs and how you can actually answer that need. Now, the value proposition. The value proposition is what you are actually offering your customers. Now, when we say what you are offering them, it is not just the solution by itself. It's not just the product. The product is the product, okay? The product is part of the value proposition. But the value proposition is a combination of your marketing mix, okay, that allows the customer to see value in whatever it is that you are offering them. So for instance, if you are offering, let's say, a mobile application, okay, or any type of product, an online platform for women to be able to find jobs, have kids and haven't been in the marketplace for a long time. All right. So let's say this is your solution. Now, this is the product by itself. But then how are you offering it? Are you offering it in retail stores? Are you offering it online? Are you offering it in conferences, in job fairs, etc.? So the distribution of this, or the place where women can actually have access to your product, is one part of your value proposition. So the fact that it is online is also part of your value proposition. Now, how much are you offering it for? Is it free of charge? Do they pay a monthly subscription? Do they get referrals? For instance, for every person they refer, they get paid, and so on and so forth. So the price is also part of your value proposition. And the overall value proposition is the combination of these elements that we are talking about, and you have the entire marketing mix. What are the channels that you are using to distribute your product? What is your price? What are your hours of opening? What is the customer relationship model that you have in place, and etc. So all of those are what constitute your value proposition. Okay, please do not get confused with the product itself. The value proposition is not just the product, it is the product with all of the elements that make this product available to your customer, whether it is the price, the distribution channel, the customer service channel, and so on and so forth. Now, why do we create value propositions? Why does it go beyond the product itself? Because whenever you want to position your product, you need to know what this product offers, okay, compared to your competition. You need to know that you are not the only one on the market. You have competition, and the competition sometimes may be doing better than you and sometimes not better than you. But you need to know how to position yourself and how to sell that. So what is the competitive edge that you have over your competitors? So is it newness? Are you giving them something new that doesn't exist on the market? Are you giving them performance? Are you customizing the product for each one of its users? Does your product get the job done? Is it on the design level? Is it on the branding level? Is it in the price? Are you proposing value on the price of things? Is it reducing costs on the long term for whoever is using it? Is it reducing risk for the user? Does it have better accessibility? Is it more convenient? Is it more user-friendly, etc.? So all of those characteristics, you can have one or you can have several ones, but definitely not all of them. Okay, and then you can say, this is my positioning. This is the competitive edge that I have over my competition. Okay, so for instance, if I am playing on the brand side of things, my product is branded. Okay, it makes sense for me to sell it at a higher price than the competition. This is the example of Apple versus any other computer. Apple works on the design, it works on the performance, it doesn't work on the price, which is why the price, or the higher price, is justified. Another example is, for instance, Louis Vuitton or Chanel, okay, which actually play on the brand and the status and the lifestyle that they are giving you. So when you talk about the brand itself, we are no longer talking about the product, we are more talking about the lifestyle that this brand is giving me. And here also, we no longer look at the price, we no longer look at cost reduction, we just look at the lifestyle associated with that brand in particular. The cost reduction, for instance, it is when you get, let's say, a home automation system, okay, that allows you to reduce your electricity bill at the end of the month by optimizing the use of your electricity. So here, for instance, you know that this home automation system will give you a cost reduction over your bill. So you can see here, we can have a lot of characteristics, not just those. You can have as many as you want, as long as you have at least one. What it is that your product does that your competition does not do. Okay, and this is your key selling point. This is what should be the selling point for your customer. This is what the customer is willing to pay for. Now let's take a look at the channels. Is how you reach your customer. How you reach your customer in terms of value proposition. So, okay, I am seeing here a comment that I will read later and I will answer. So the channels is how you want to get that value proposition that you have just developed out to your client. When we say out to your client, it means that it is kind of your sales channel, okay? What are the interaction points that you want to set in place for you to reach your clients? Are you going through retail? Are you going through wholesale? Are you going online? Is it automated? Is it something that doesn't require any personal assistance? So basically the channels are, again, how our clients, okay? Now, when I say the channels, let me go back and then we'll talk about the next slide. When I say channels, it's not just about reaching your client on the sales level. Okay, you need to make the client aware of your product, right? You need to maybe make the client test your product or try it out. You need to create interest for them. You need to make them make them buy it, and then you need to see if they have any kind of feedback. So the channels are all of these channels that you have at your disposal that you can actually use to be able to reach that client. So for instance, whatever your product is, you can use social media as a communication means to reach that client. So social media is one of those channels. And if, let's say, your product is available at the supermarket itself is another channel, which is retail, okay, for you to reach, again, your customer. So, just speaking about what I said, we can see here that you have the different phases in reaching your client. Again, it is not just about making the client purchase your product. First, you need to create awareness. So how do you raise awareness about your product? How do you let customers know about it? So you can do this with communication, of course, with advertising, and you have very different advertising channels that you can use, whether it is online, so you have a website, whether it is social media, so you have a Facebook page, a Twitter account, an Instagram account, etc. Whether it is billboards, magazines, TV, etc. So the communication means that you have at your end, which are different channels actually, allow you to create awareness about your product. Next, the evaluation. So how do we help customers evaluate our organization's value proposition? Evaluation is very important. For instance, if you are using social media as a main tool to not only create awareness, but to communicate about your product and to collect customer feedback. It's actually a very good idea because social media is a two-way communication. So whenever you want to gather or collect data from customers, what you need to do is you need to maybe create a product and then let customers, after they experience your product, give you their evaluation about it. The purchase phase is how do we allow customers to purchase specific products and services? Of course, here we are talking about the buying process itself. So is it going to be online? Is it going to be in retail shops? Is it going to be in specific stores? Is it going to, where is your product available for that customer to purchase it? The delivery, okay, so that, let's say the customer purchased your product online, how are you going to deliver your product to them? And finally, the after sales. So how do we provide post-purchase customer support, which is if they have a technical problem they want to ask you about, if they have anything they are facing, any kind of challenge or any kind of problem, okay, they can actually reach out to you and you will solve that problem for them. Now, the customer relationships. Now, this is actually it is not as, it's not the same thing as the channels, because the channels is more about how you reach your customer. Now, the customer relationships is how you establish a relationship so that that customer comes to you anytime they want something, or anytime they have feedback to give you, or anytime they want to do an operation with you. So the different examples that you have, first you have the personal assistant. The personal assistance is when you go to the bank, for instance, and you go to the counter of the bank, and then you have a person there assisting you. So this is the personal assistance. Now, the dedicated personal assistance is, again, when you go to the bank, but you have a specific account manager. So it's not anyone at the counter who is going to deal with you or to serve you. It is more somehow an account manager who, every time you need something, will be there for you. Now, the self-service is whenever it is that you are actually serving yourself. So, for instance, if you go to the supermarket and you purchase products, right? So this is actually the self-service. The self-service and the automated service somehow go hand in hand, because if we go back to the example of the bank, okay, you can go to the bank and then you can have the personal assistance or the dedicated personal assistance, but you can also get online and do your whatever it is that you want to do online. You can do phone banking, and you can actually you can go to the ATM machine, and this is a self-service because there's no person helping you, and it is automated because it's actually electronic. Communities, it is when you actually create communities or kind of support groups that the customer can go to. So here, for instance, you can have forums where users of the same product or of similar products go in and give their advice or give ideas about how to use the product or their own experience with that product. Now, finally, let's take a look at the revenue streams. This is extremely important because as long as you are not generating money for your business is not viable, okay? You can have the best idea, again, I have to repeat this, you can have the best idea in the world. If it doesn't generate money, you cannot turn it into a business, because a business needs to survive. And the survival of a business largely depends on how much money you can generate out of this business, and more importantly, how much profit you are going to make out of that business. So before we go here and I explain those, because I'm not going to explain each one of them in details, I prefer giving examples and let you deduce from yourself how this works. So basically, how can you charge for your product or for your service? You have several ways of doing that, okay? Starting with the most obvious one, it is that you buy something, you pay for it. I buy a bottle of water, I go to the counter, I pay for it. So it's a one-time fee, and then when the product is done, it's done. But it's not just for the water, it's for my cell phone, it's for the pen that I use, it's for everything that I can actually, it's for the furniture in the house, it's for the clothes, etc. So you pay for something and then you use it, regardless of how many times you are going to use that thing. Okay, regardless of how many times you are going to wear that coat or to use that pen to write, etc., it is still the same price that you paid once. So this is a first example. A second example is you pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee. A monthly fee is a very simple example of the rent. If you have an office or if you have a house that is rented, okay, you pay, for instance, $1,000 per month to use that service or that rent or that office, and then whether you come once to the office in the whole month, or if you come on a daily basis and if you sleep in the office, you're still paying the same rent. Okay, but this is not a one-time fee, it is something that is recurring and that you are getting to pay every month, or let's say if we are actually projecting the same model on your clients, they are paying you a monthly fee to be able to use your service, whatever service that is. Now there's another example that is also a very good one, which is the freemium model. The freemium model is when you actually offer a service, a basic service for free. So it is free of charge, but then whenever you want, whenever the customer wants to upgrade it to use more features in it, he has to pay for that upgrade. So again, a good example about this would be LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, if you all know what LinkedIn is, or if you are all on LinkedIn, what LinkedIn does is it has a specific model whereby you actually use the platform for free. But then if you want to use more of LinkedIn, if you want to see more people, if you want to have access to more data, you pay for a subscription fee. So this is the freemium model, where it starts free and then it gets upgraded for a premium service where you actually pay for it. Another example is okay, it doesn't have a specific name, I think, but it is when, I think, for instance, if you are using a mobile application and it's advertising revenue. So for the user himself, the application is for free, but how you make your money is you get people to advertise on your mobile app. So, so here is another example where the user is not paying for the usage of your product, but somehow else another person is paying for it. It is the same models of advertising. Okay, for instance, on Facebook, you as a user